Will the real Dr. Fauci please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up. Vaccinate your mom. Vaccinate your dad. Vaccinate the happy. Vaccinate the sad. Vaccinate your babies. Vaccinate them, even if they got rabies. Vaccinate my life. Vaccinate my wife. Vaccinate your DNA. Vaccine created by the CIA. Vaccinate your body. Vaccinate me at the party. Vaccination freak. Vaccination freak-a-leak.
I'm James Poulos. This is 0 Hour. Alex Stein, otherwise known as Primetime Number 99. He's a comedian and host of Primetime with Alex Stein on BlazeTV. You can find him at your local city council meeting or playing golf with his allegedly, but maybe his dad, Tucker Carlson. Welcome, Alex.
Welcome to the show, James.
I am glad that your paternity is finally going to be settled once and for all.
Well, you know, honestly, my biological stepfather, Tucker Carlson, has been a little distant lately, and I don't blame him. He's going through a lot of pressure right now, losing his job, and that's going to affect my life, our Christmases in the future, and, you know, future money that I could probably potentially get from him.
Yeah, relatable. I mean, the American family is certainly not what it used to be. Perhaps a lot more drunkenness and beatings in the old days, but we got other problems now.
Everybody tries to say, you know, Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist, but he kind of acts like a deadbeat dad, and
you know, I've known Tucker for a long time, and he's never mentioned you once.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He's a deadbeat dad, so he's not
sad.
a white supremacist, just a bad dad.
Let's talk about the vaccine rap.
Oh gosh,
You know, it's coming back. I hear that it's coming back. No one's taking the vax anymore, so they need to bump things up a little bit. Are you worried? Are you concerned about being persecuted for this content?
I am not worried because I'm 5 times boosted. No, but on a serious note, James, because I know this is kind of a serious show.
Kind of.
When we talk about vaccines and we talk about COVID, and we can only say so much on YouTube, but a lot of people want to say that like COVID was new, but really we've had MERS, SARS, you know, we've had respiratory illnesses for a long time. But I think it's pretty obvious that the beneficial gain that these pharmaceutical companies gain from COVID, and now their stock prices are plummeting. So I think you would be dumb to not think that there wouldn't be some big push to vaccinate everybody again. So I don't know what's going to be the cause, but I think it's going to be probably similar to COVID, and I think there'll be pushes like that in the future. But I don't know if we'll comply the same. Do you think we will?
I do not think that we will comply the same, which is maybe why the punishment is going to have to be ratcheted up again if they do go through with this. I mean, I think it was, you know.
What do you mean punish it? Us punish the system?
No.
Then punish us.
Right.
So yeah. That's what
or maybe it'll be incentives. Maybe it'll be like, oh, the student loans, you know, you have to repay them again, but not if you know.
Well, you talk about artificial intelligence.
Boost up.
In the blockchain and all this, but that's why they do an essential digital currency is so that they could turn it off. So that, let's say, oh, you didn't get vaccinated, they could actually take away your money potentially. So
yes.
That's why they don't have that infrastructure in place, but they do it in different ways where like you can lose your bank, your job, your house.
Yeah.
But in the future, it's going to be very bleak. Like if you really don't comply, it's going to be like idiocracy or something. You'll have an account, then they'll just turn
mandatory
off
idiocy. I mean, here's what I'm worried about. Like, you know, we've now seen the sad and really disgusting spectacle of someone being sent to prison for memes.
Yeah.
On the other side, you know, that young lady who did the hey Trump-tards, like I forgot what it was.
Did she do a texting too?
The same exact kind of nonsense.
So for the people that don't know,
that tweet is still up, by the way.
But a guy made a meme basically tweeting like vote for Hillary, texted in, and he went to jail for that because they got him for election
interference.
Election interference,
yes.
Which is ridiculous. And then a woman basically did the same meme and didn't get in trouble. But you'd be very dumb to think there isn't a 2-tier justice system that we live in.
Well, you would. So what I'm concerned about, and you know, not just for my own sake, but really for yours, is will they criminalize trolling next?
I mean, I don't know. It is in some countries, yes. Here in America, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of countries like in Japan right now. This is really inside baseball. There's a form of content on the internet called IRL streaming. It stands for in real life streaming, and where people will just like live stream themselves. But they have backpacks, they have the gear to be able to stream themselves like 8, 24 hours, even go on forever.
Very Japanese.
Well, in Japan, it's a big deal, but there's been some American streamers going over there. And part of the stream is people give you TTS donations, text-to-speech, and sometimes they'll say offensive stuff in the text-to-speech.
Yes.
And then also they'll encourage you, here's $20, go, not slap a girl on the butt, but that has been done, but like go tease a girl, hit on a girl. And this happened where a guy was getting popular IRL streaming, and within like 4 months, they arrested him. He's in a Japanese prison. And Japan also doesn't mess with immigration. So my point is, in some countries, I'm sure North Korea, you can't troll anybody.
Probably not.
But is that going to happen in America? I would hope not.
Only the supreme leader can troll in North Korea.
He is allowed to, selfie stick and call AOC a big booty Latina. But no, I mean, we do have freedom of speech somewhat. We don't have it on YouTube. We don't have it on, we're starting to get it back on Twitter. But the only place where I can really say anything is like at a city council meeting, and I do get shut down a lot, but I've sued, and I've sued New York City, and I had a settlement for $15,000. I was just in New York City again this weekend. They shut me down again in person. Councilman Gennaro, a guy that doesn't like me, so now I'm going to resue them. But then I have multiple lawsuits, and there's other councils that know about these lawsuits where they'll just let me speak because they understand that's the First Amendment right.
This is like a great side gig. This is like the gig economy, a steady stream of
You've
just
heard
like
of slip and falls.
lawsuit
Yeah,
payouts.
you've heard of slip and falls. I just go and speak and get kicked out.
15K here, 20K there. Pretty soon, you have FU money.
I got Olive Garden money, unlimited breadsticks on me.
Let's go. Seriously though, I mean, if you can't be American on the internet, can you be American at all?
I mean, let's talk about this because you like AI. Don't you think the internet is the worst invention ever? I mean, I think the invention of it was created is that they said that there's military bases because the military and CIA had the internet before we did, and they needed to create the internet because they had like databases of information in one military base, and they wanted to get to the other base instantly. And so that's theoretically the story of how.
Yeah, you want to be able to survive a nuclear exchange, a regime sort of continuity, and you want to make sure that like ARPA can talk to Berkeley, can talk to the Lawrence Livermore Lab, and yeah, that was the birth of it.
So it's very good. That's very important. We need that. But what the internet has become is, I mean, it's hell. It's literally hell. Because I look back at my childhood and I think, I used to have to call my friends on the phone, like, hey, buddy, and I'd speak to Mrs. Davis. Because Walt there, you had that like personal
We're
interaction.
eating dinner, young man.
Exactly. I would call during dinner
Yeah.
and say, or you get invited to dinner. Oh, why don't you come for dinner? I mean, it was because you didn't have the internet, everybody wasn't mass posting what they were doing. We kind of like longed for personal interaction more than we do today. Because a perfect example is like the dating world now. I'm sure dating's always been hard. There's always been romantic comedies about dating, this and that. But the divorce rate, the kids going trans, this and that. The dating world is more insane. On a dating app, you got all these different.
You're not dating. Let's face it.
Am I not dating? Well,
No, people. I mean, these apps are not designed to.
I'm dating too much, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm really having trouble with these women, but that's neither here nor there. My point is, for most of the other people that aren't pimps on blimps, and it is hard for me too. It's hard to date and meet somebody because we are so superficial because of the apps, because we instantly judge somebody based on how much money we think they make, or their job, or their career, or like their height. I think it's 90% of women on their you can put limits on your dating app. They won't even see profiles of people that are under 6 feet.
It's a cliff, dude. I mean, just like when you sort of superimpose the curves on the graph of like what men and women are willing to date, like by their own standards, like, oh, I did a 6, I did a 5. Like the women, it's just like flat line for anything under like a 7. It's really punishing.
Yeah, it is hard for the women and then the women that will date the scrub guys are all whores. And I don't mean that women are all whores. I'm just trying to say it's very hard to date. Like you can meet a girlfriend. This is my perfect example. This is how you know it's not impossible to date. Here in Dallas on Harry Hines, I always see crackheads begging for money, and they always have a girlfriend. I don't know. Do you ever notice that? They're like homeless couples. I don't know if you see that, but I see a lot of homeless couples. And I'm like, if that guy can
They're out there thriving. I mean, they didn't lock down.
If a homeless person can find a girlfriend, why can't I find a girlfriend? But I think that's the case for a lot of people.
Maybe you need to come down from the blimp and spend a little bit of time around the normal America.
And I'm stuttering when I say that, but I have dated a lot of girls, and I this is another problem too with dating. And not that I'm like some cool person, but I think this is a problem in the Facebook era, going back to the internet. A lot of infidelity skyrocketed once Facebook became popular because people were reconnecting with exes or high school sweethearts.
Like their creepy obsession from high school, and then they felt compelled to like go down that.
And now they're rich or whatever, and they're poor, and so it
Right.
causes there's this weird whatever dichotomy of power that so the internet caused that because we were able to reconnect. So I think that you can extrapolate that to just now modern day where girls are on the internet, so they have options. Every guy's in their DMs, right? So if you have an Instagram and you have a hot girlfriend, there's always going to be guys. So it's just kind of weird. We have in this vapid society, we're just like digitally messaging our genitals to strangers. It's very bizarre.
It is weird, and no one has asked me to post feet to the internet.
I post feet all day long.
There's got to be.
Oh shit! Look.
What you got going on there, man?
My foot is so sweaty.
Yeah. I drank half a Monster. I'm probably not allowed to say brands. I drank an energy drink immediately before this interview so that I would be full of life and chemical vitality. And it just makes you can feel the chemicals just like seeping out of your pores.
Yeah, no, I love the chemicals though. I'm telling you,
clearly you've been pounding energy drink for that much sweat. Yeah.
My feet are sweating so bad. I don't know what it's these shoes. Like this one's not as sweaty. I didn't put a napkin in it, but yeah, I have to put these.
Is this an issue for dating as well?
That's what I'm saying. I have stinky feet.
Sweating?
I have stinky feet. My feet are sweaty. I'm always sweating. I'm always hot. I'm always uncomfortable. I mean, life, and I've been losing weight, but still, I need to lose more weight. It's difficult, and I'm the plant-based pimp, James. I don't know about you.
It never ends.
I don't eat meat. I don't eat meat.
You don't eat meat?
No.
Well, I don't want to lose this foot thing because like the pressure on the ladies must be immense when you've just got. At what point does the spam of guys going like, I will pay you $100 right now? At what point does it become like, how can I resist? It's like making $15,000 off city council seats.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody's always, even if you're in a good relationship, there's just also sick things psychologically where you're like, the grass is always greener, right? So even if your relationship is fine and somebody's like courting you secretly, you're kind of like, oh, maybe he looks like he's doing this, he's doing that. So you kind of long for you don't have, and then you get it. It's always like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a sin machine, the internet. Basically.
That's what I'm saying. It is.
It's like
it's a portal to hell.
Envy
and
sort of like whatever it is you want, baby. Like I will give it to you. Whatever it is that's going to make you feel addicted, that's going to make you feel like you can't resist it. Like whatever it is, like it finds your weak points and it just like drills right in there.
And you're like, there are good applications for the internet. I know you're really worried about artificial intelligence, and I am somewhat. I don't know if we talked about this on my show, but artificial intelligence can take a ton of jobs away, and it can do so much, but there is an uncanny valley where they can't make a human, right? They can't like make a fake human.
Right.
Like they're trying to make a womb. Do you think they'll be able to make a womb?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're pretty much like most of the way there
on the fake
at
womb?
This point, on the external womb is what they're calling.
But how does that even work? I mean, we don't have to get into the woods of it, but does the baby have to come out of a vagina, or can they incubate it? Everything?
No, yeah,
it's totally
they just sort of like
it's 100%.
It's like test tube baby, but next level.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
That's freaky. But this, I guess, is my point, and we talk about this, and I should know this. I talk about this all the time, but it's called like a blah 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 test. It has some name, where these telecommunication companies spend billions of dollars testing their call center technology to see if it can convince a human that they're talking to another human when in reality it's a robot.
Yeah.
And humans always figure it out. Like even the dumb humans, when they do the test, like it takes people different lengths of time, right? But overwhelmingly, humans realize, like, because we have this weird pause or cadence, they can't recreate that exactly. And even with AI that, like, I've tried to use for stuff, you have to give it so much prompts, like to edit something with AI, it's almost easier to edit it myself. I've tried to use all kinds of AI. And there is some good AI editors too, honestly. Some stuff, it makes a clip, I'm like, whoa, it did that in 2 seconds, it would take me 5 hours.
For the call centers, I think they'd really have to like somehow train the bots to just like really like frustrate and annoy people. That is how you know that you're dealing with like a human in
if they're like sarcastically nice.
They just like don't really understand what you're saying, like can't solve your problems, and like the connection's not very good, and they have like a thick accent, and that's how you know you're dealing with a human being.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they probably could make the voice though, and I'm sure they can. I'm sure they have that setting. But like in that application, it is. I can see why a business wants that, and then it saves them a lot of money. But I still think there's always going to be like a sex robot. I'm sure they'll be able to have something close, but they'll never be able to have.
Well, this is like the uncanny valley problem, because like there's sex robot over here, and there's like again, like your mileage may vary. I couldn't possibly speak from experience on this, but there must be some sort of like comfort in the fact that you know that this is like a blow up doll or whatever.
You think? Well,
and then there's like a real human being, but in the middle, like you don't want to be interacting with something that's like too close to being a person but seems
still
fake.
fake.
Like that's the kind of thing that like our bodies and minds and souls are not built to process very well.
And I think you nailed it. Our souls. I think that does separate us. And I mean, I know people watching this, you can be atheist or whatever. I mean, I do believe in the creator, but like we do have souls. There is something, because I even watch these videos of like, you know, in the morgue or something, and they're like, you know, the brain and the body. There's something that leaves the body when we die. I don't know. I think I
21 grams, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Something leaves, because I just watch it and I see this person like cutting a brain. I'm like, that's their epicenter. Like that brain is them. But then I'm like, no, that brain's not them. The heart's not them. It is important to function, but there's like a soul in there. That is you. It's weird because we're not our thumb. You know, like a thumb is not a soul. But how do I say this? Like,
you can lose a part without losing
your
the
soul,
whole.
but our soul is everything. It's all of us. It's not just our heart or brain or soul. Like it's.
Yeah.
There is some inner essence, is my point, and I'm not saying it very eloquently. And I think that's kind of part of the reason why society is so sad, is they try to hide that in young kids, especially, and they really want to make you think that you evolved from this cosmic accident, and that like two rocks smashed together, and then like the sun hits a pond scum, and then abiogenesis, you know, two cells split, and then there became alligators and dinosaurs, and then we formed into this, and that everything is just an accident, and that you have no meaning, and that you're just a meaningless life, you know, whatever biological form that's decaying.
And therefore you should hate yourself, and you should make yourself look as like ugly and deranged as you possibly can, and then you should start making demands of other people. In fact, everyone else that you meet in your life, you should yell at them, you should uncontrollably cry, you should like deform your body with technology. Like this is the teaching, right?
Well, misery loves company. So yeah, you'd have to make the most miserable people make other people miserable. And so that's like I mean, can you imagine that kids this day and age, and I don't want to harp on it because it's so stupid. It's like trans. I'm not even anti-trans. If you're an adult and you want to be transgender, go ahead. I mean, what am I? I'm a libertarian in that sense. I don't think you should be dancing in front of little kids, but whatever. My point is, they are literally approving kids to get mastectomies and gender reassignment surgery and non-reversible hormones, yet none of these kids can get a tattoo. None of these kids can smoke a cigarette. None of these kids can make any other personal choices like driving a car because they feel that way or because they want to. But on this one, we're encouraging it. And then on top of that, it's state-sponsored in a lot of states.
Yeah, only regime-approved transgressions for you, young man.
I mean, that's the weird society. So I don't even know how a kid grows up. So
and then the lawsuits. I mean, these lawsuits are coming, you know, where people who were just totally wrecked by that whole process when they were 12 or whatever, then...
Do you think they'll sue? I saw Dr.
They are starting, like 8 years later, like these lawsuits are starting to come.
Well, Dr. Drew said, and like I said, we're on YouTube. I don't know how we censor this, but some popular medical journal came out and talked about myocarditis in young people and how it caused permanent damage, and I'm not going to say what from, but I think you would know. And he thinks that a lot of universities and university students will end up suing colleges. He just said this on a podcast.
He urged people to sue. He was like, don't be afraid to just like call down the thunder on these universities.
And I've sued, but I'm trying to I have a lawsuit against a hospital, and it's very difficult, it's very challenging. So
no, going after big health, big pharma, that's a good way to bankrupt yourself.
I know, and then they can get you back for legal fees, you know, on certain stuff. It's 100%. really bad trying to sue them civilly. They are very protected, and so I think these schools are probably going to be protected. And that's a sad thing because they were forced to do it, mandated to do stuff. So if you mandate something, you should have to pay some sort of, you know, responsibility if it goes bad. But of course, none of these companies have any liability for any damage done. So.
Well, this is like one of the deranged things to me about this moment is, you know, you mentioned big pharma sort of cashing in on COVID. Mm-hmm. You think about, you know, like how people who would otherwise really never have a shot at getting rich, you throw up a lawsuit, maybe it works. Maybe a jury's like, here's $800 billion.
Or there's 100,000 lawyers that can't get a job because too many of them went to law school and there's not enough jobs. That's why there's so many bad attorneys.
So there's this weirdness where we have all these people who are sort of trained to be, I don't know, successful, upwardly mobile members of society. But then you look at how the economy is structured and it's like, how are you supposed to get rich? How are you supposed to channel your ambition into something that's actually fruitful? I mean, even crypto, they sort of killed that. Like if you're like a young guy and you want to like be successful in life and like build something for yourself and support a family and like have a mortgage or buy a car or whatever, like how are you supposed to get there?
Well, that's done on purpose. I mean, the middle class is gone here in America. People can't afford a house. I mean, I don't know. I have some friends, you know, that have houses, but I'm not that young, and it's just, they've made it where you basically have to be a debt slave. You're either in debt from your college debt or you're working a job and you're probably living like, you know, out of your means, not because you're living some crazy life, but because your means are so small. So, And then when you go and get a job at a corporation, everything's so woke and DEI and ESG. It's almost miserable working in an environment that's woke like that. So I don't know how people find personal joy and financial success at the same time. The only thing I would encourage people to do, and this is the cliche, but like find something you love that you're passionate about and try to turn that into a monetary, gain in your life.
You're leading by example.
I know.
You do love what you do, right?
I love wearing
You're not like dying inside.
No, I love wearing tuck-friendly bathing suits at city council meetings.
Yeah. Well,
I am dying inside. We're all dying inside. We are.
One step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you are making a difference in this world?
That's a good question, James, because a lot of people come up to me, and I'm very blessed. I'm speaking at Penn State on Monday. I spoke at Berkeley this year. I'm speaking at Ohio State. These are like esteemed colleges.
These are good paying gigs too.
Yeah, they pay. They're not free 99.
Speaker's fees.
My point is, I'm like, I'm an idiot. Why do these college kids at these nice schools want to have me on? And then I think, maybe I'm making a difference. And then a lot of people come up to me and they'll come up to me and they'll meet you. Thank you for what you do. You're exposing this. And I'm not making fun of anybody that does it. I'm so appreciative of it.
My stupid fans. What an idiot.
No. But what I'm saying is, this is my point. I'm not trying to be insensitive to all that support. I love it. Thank you. Please always come up and say something to me. But when I first started podcasting, I was talking a lot about COVID. It's called the Conspiracy Castle, and I was trying to wake people up, and I was talking about Operation this, and this is exposed, and this and that. And I did wake some people up. I remember I had friends I went to high school, started watching your podcast. I looked that up. Oh, that's wow. People that was friendly-ish with, that,
Suddenly you had friends from high school.
Well, yeah, I actually had a couple. But my point is, it's so hard. No amount of evidence can convince an idiot. And after COVID, I thought, because I started my podcast right at the beginning of COVID, I thought after a year, people would wake up and people would realize, and people just, in my impression, got dumber. I think people are getting less in tune what's happening in the world. I know that sounds weird. I mean, there's this cultural revolution of conspiracies, this and that. So a lot more people are awake, but there's also people that have doubled down and believe the government more. So I don't think, am I making somewhat of a difference? Am I making an impact? Yeah, but on the overall thing, I can't do it. I'm not going to make even a dent in society because we're so brainwashed. So sadly, I'm going to keep trying, but if I'm really looking the man in the mirror, and I'm so appreciative of all the people that say it, I've done all this stuff. I've had millions of hits, tens of millions of hits, probably 1 billion hits, really. And I have seen some change, but even people that I love and care about have seen me be successful, and they still don't agree with me. So we're never going to all agree, and we're never all going to wake up.
And sometimes it takes time. It might be 15 years of trolling city council meetings, and then one of them hits, and there's a concatenation of events, and suddenly you make a difference on a massive scale.
To be honest now, and I'm not tooting myself or patting myself on the back, but the vaccine wrap, the reason why that did so well is because it went so viral because all these right-wing people were like, look at this idiot leftist, look at this loser who loves the vaccine.
They thought it was real.
They thought it was real. Yes. And then the people on the left do I look like this? And that started a conversation and kind of a cringe thing where, yeah, maybe it made a difference. Maybe people are like, maybe it is cringe for me to just always talk about the vaccine and how I got vaccinated. So in that sense, maybe in the zeitgeist of collective consciousness, I can make a little bit of a difference, but can I defeat the system? Can I defeat the deep state? Can I stop artificial intelligence from taking over? Can I fix the school system? Can I fix the fentanyl and drug problems? Can I fix the immigration? No president, nobody can. No one person can fix all that. So I can affect the system, but I can't really make it that much better.
But it's also good to realize that and to not go into a despair spiral because you can't change the world. We've been so indoctrinated for so many generations. Follow your dreams. If you can dream it, you can do it. Obey your passions. Change the world. If just one, all of these sort of mantras. And I think that has led to wokeness and insanity and a desire for things are so profoundly wrong with the world that really exists. Once that sort of illusion parted, people are taking radical action against their genitalia, radical, America sucks, we should destroy, American flag gone, rainbow flag in, massive transformative changes that people are seeking because all those sort of warm, fuzzy, inspiring lies turn out to be so hollow.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of, I always think about this, and as a kid, though, sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. They were getting us ready for communism. I say that as a joke, but there's a lot of stuff in school that they kind of, they got it in brainwash us. And that's why There's people that have like the walkaway movement. I'm not mashing that. I'm just saying there's a lot of different kind of movements like Lexit. I'm just trying to Blexit, people like leaving wokeness and going right. But I think that's far too common because the status quo is that you should be liberal. Like if you're not kind of leftist, you're anti-black or you're anti-Mexican or you're anti-this. So it's like they teach young kids like this is how you should be from birth instead of like critically thinking about the world because it's too complicated to explain to a child. So it's like sharing is caring, evolution, this and that. I mean, they just brainwash us into thinking of this agenda, and so that's why I'm empathetic to all these people that. I'm happy that they kind of changed their feelings because I did that. There was a point where I was like, "Oh, this is so cool, Barack Obama, black president. This is badass." I mean, why would I not like that? I like black people. I
like presidents.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, but then you go back and you find out Barack Obama's a freak writing like gay love letters to his ex-girlfriends, and Lord knows what with that. I'm just
trailblazing, really, because that's like half the internet.
Well, and I didn't even know anything about Hillary Clinton. Not that I liked Hillary Clinton, but before I knew anything about Hillary Clinton, I thought she was like an esteemed woman. I'm like, before I knew about Bill Clinton, I remember I grew up and knew about Monica Lewinsky, but until I knew about like the Epstein Island and all the stuff and all the Hillary Clinton kill list and all that, like you would just think if you weren't really dialed in, you just think these politicians like, oh, they're good people, like Hillary's good and Obama's good and like. They're for women's rights. They're for blacks. So you think, oh well, that's good, right?
Yeah. How could they be corrupt inside?
They want to help. They want to help black people. How could they be bad?
They're saying these nice words. I mean, I think like what you mentioned with, why is it so important for them to sort of go after the kids or whatever? And it's because children, beyond a certain point, can't really like parse information, and if you kind of fire hose them with like really intense messaging, it's gonna soak in. And so now we have the internet, which is this kind of fire hose in everyone's face all the time, even if they're not kids anymore. And it is overwhelming, and I think it does sort of like break down your defenses and makes it difficult for you to sort of like, you've got so much flying at you, so many pieces of fruit, you can only like ninja chop like so many of them before they just start pelting you in the face. And like it is exhausting, and it does condition people to just sort of like, I don't know, just tell me like what the answer is, I give up.
Well, that kind of happened to me with conspiracies. I'm a deep conspiracy theorist, but like then I started overwhelming with this fake stuff, and some stuff sticks, some stuff doesn't. But these kids, they're just like trauma-based mind controlling them, just like giving them so much information. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of it they deflect, but some of it lands. And that's how it was with the conspiracies. I'm like sharing this, looking at this, and I was getting so many thrown at me. I'm just like, I like don't even want to talk about conspiracies so much anymore because I'm so sick of it because there's so much misinformation, there's so much real stuff. It's almost hard to decipher.
It is hard to decipher, and now it's spreading into like geopolitics. Like this is now like a new way of war. I mean, trying to keep up with like Israel, Hamas.
And they're using video game footage, this and that, to show both sides. So you're like, what? And then you just saw that viral video, I'm sure, where they were showing like an AI editor suite where it made it look like a car was burning in Gaza. And it was
just like, Unreal Engine. You can just like create your own, and it's really hard to tell the difference, even if you're sort of like, I mean, I'm not sort of a forensic anything, but I'm keeping track of the feeds and like monitoring the situations. And it's almost impossible not to get kind of hoaxed if you are following the news.
Even that Unreal Engine stuff like that, they could even put like a filter on it, made it look a little crappier, like it's from a cell phone or something. I mean, they can make it look real, indistinguishable.
Yeah.
So they're going to use a lot of propaganda, both sides. I mean, the war in Ukraine, Russia, I'm sure, uses propaganda on there. I mean,
the New York Times has just been totally spun around on this stuff, and they're trying to like keep up with events and like putting out these headlines. People are like, no, the headlines. And they have to, and they try to like rewrite the headline, and it's just, I mean, it's sort of like an easy way to sort of laugh at the mainstream media for making a fool of themselves. But there are like larger ramifications here, and it's sort of like today it's the Times that's being made to look like an ass, and like maybe tomorrow it's like like.
Well, what's so interesting to me is I think it's like Mehdi Hassan, I can't think of his name, but there's 3 Middle Eastern MSNBC hosts. They got, kind of de-anchored temporarily, not fired necessarily, but they're just slots they move their slots for being empathetic to the Palestinians. And I don't want the Palestinians to die. I don't want, Israelis to die. I'm just saying they made their statements, and I guess it sounded like they were empathetic to Hamas and they lost their jobs, but you knew that these people would be empathetic to Hamas. I mean, you knew of Mehdi. I mean, you would think that you would know these guys are probably Muslim, or it's just.
In fact, wasn't that kind of why they were hired to a degree in the first place?
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
That's the whole reason they were hired, is because they were Middle Eastern, because they checked a box. The same reason Kamala Harris got hired to be the vice president. So my point is, it's like they want these people. Then when it doesn't benefit them, they can just easily say, oh, well, you're suspended. So they have no integrity. I mean, no integrity whatsoever.
It's totally inconsistent. It's total chaos. You look at the universities. And universities, you have people who are like, yes, the paragliders are good.
Yeah.
Like, massacre,
What
kill,
about Queers for Palestine?
Go in, right? And these people are not getting fired.
Yeah.
They're not even being suspended.
Well, I did see one woman lost her job, but she said something really bad. She said something about a painter from Austria, you know.
Yes, there's still, Hitler is still a red line.
Yeah.
You can't cross the Hitler line and keep your job. And then there's like a second order layer of weirdness, which is you have like Les Wexner of like Victoria's Secret, Jeffrey Epstein
the
fame,
richest guy,
being like, this has gone too far. I'm pulling my money out of Harvard because like they're soft on Hamas or whatever. I mean, just the layers of insanity are really starting to stack up. And at a certain point, you're like, is following this narrative not worth the trouble? Is this knowledge not worth knowing? Are people going to just walk away from the internet?
No, but ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. Because I talked to I was in the car business and a guy.
Used car?
The used car business, wholesale business. You know, I'm pimp on a blimp used car salesman. But my point is, one of the guys that works on the car lot, and I try to talk to him sometimes about geopolitics. He's just like an older black man, and he has no idea what's going on. And
he's like, you mean Geo Metro?
Yeah, I'm just saying, and all he cares about is if the car's got oil, I can stick shift. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, and his name's Fro, and he's a great guy, and I'm like, gosh, I'm just kind of jealous that you don't even care, you don't even know, you have no idea. He has no idea who Speaker McCarthy is. He has no idea who Byron Donalds is. You know what I'm saying? Most people, and this is not just him, but I think if you went out, and I probably should do this, it'd be simple, like on Man on the Street, who is the vice president? I would say most people don't even know it's Kamala Harris. Like, they probably know of Kamala Harris, but they probably wouldn't even be able to connect the dots.
Well, you've seen those viral videos that TikTokers and people will do, where they just ask Americans extremely
easy questions,
simple questions.
Yeah.
They hold up a map of the United States. They're like, what is this?
They'll have a clock, right. They'll be like, what time is it?
Or they'll have the upside down United States. People go, I don't know, what is that? I mean, it is funny, but it's also just it doesn't feel like this is rock bottom yet.
Well, and Mark Dice has a great video where he does it multiple times. He's like, do you want a Snickers bar? Like a 1 ounce of silver. And people take the Snickers bar. He'll have a $20 or a 1 ounce of gold. He just posted on his Twitter, and people were taking this. They're like, oh, I'll take the 20. I need the cash.
You can't buy a Snickers with silver.
Yeah, exactly right.
Please. Yeah, but it isn't rock bottom. I mean, how dumb are we going to get?
We're going to get really dumb. It's just like I said it earlier. You saw the movie Idiocracy, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be like that. It's going to be Brave New World, where people the content that we watch is, I think it was called The Talkies in that movie, where it was just porn with explosions, and it's going to be 10-second stuff. And how I know that's true is because I can't watch an hour-long stuff. I mean, I'm in that zone right now, sadly. I mean, I do watch longer form stuff because I'm watch a lot of stuff, but that's kind of part of my job. But my point is, I do like the short hits and the Instagram slides and the reels. It's kind of nice watching content in those short segments. Those are my most successful videos, are the ones that are under 3 minutes. So I think it's only going to get shorter. It's only going to get more like Vine, where it's 7 seconds. It'll be somewhere in between Vine and 2 minutes, where it'll just be constant. I think it's going to be like that movie Brave New World, because everybody's already on antidepressants. So they're going to find the one that works, right? And in 10 years, everybody's be like, you know how they say Xanax works, but there'll be something like Xanax mixed with Prozac that you take, that you feel less depressed and you get a little buzz, and everybody's going to take it and everybody's going to be happy, fake happy. And if they ever get off the pills, they'll probably withdraw and have a lot of issues. But yeah, I do think we're all going to be medicated. I think we'll be watching porn openly, tits and stuff will be okay, and it'll probably be in short form content. And the pods, I think you have it in your intro, no doubt in my mind, if they can make it, and they probably don't have to make it that much indistinguishable, but they say if they can make artificial intelligence where it has, you've seen the movie Vanilla Sky, where you can plug into a machine.
Yeah, dude.
And you can live your life as a starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, or be Donald Trump, or be Barack Obama, or whatever fantasy you want to live out. And they'll say, oh, well, biologically you live 72 years on average on Earth, but in the pod you're going to live for 1,000 years. So people will be like, what? It'll feel like I lived there for 1,000 years. And they're already talking about this technology for prisoners, where a prisoner can wear a virtual headset and it'll feel like they did 10 years in prison. but it'd only be like 2 hours.
That's like DMT. It's like the
DMT's
6-minute
tight.
trip.
Yeah,
it
but
feels like you spend a lifetime.
DMT's fun. This is not going to be fun what they do with the punishment. Like I bet it'll make it. I'm guessing it'll like be just scaring you the whole time. It'll be like you're stuck in hell or something.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I've read some of those DMT like trip reports, and the guys are like, "Yeah, I made it up to like the 30th level." There are all these patterns where they're discovering these like malevolent.
Have you ever done DMT?
No.
Oh, I've done it one time. I did it at a hemp farm. I did it one time. It was really.
You went to the hemp farm to do DMT.
I was in Colorado. I was in, I think it was Littleton. No, not Littleton. I can't remember this name. It was a smaller town, but it was like outside of Denver. And it was so intense, right? Like we're at this like hemp farm, and it was my friend's brother's hemp farm that owned it. And they're like the shamans here. I didn't even know what was going on. I was with my friend, and we were visiting his brother had this big hemp farm. He's like, well-to-do guy for a hemp farmer. We're like in his house. He's like, "Oh, the shaman's coming over. I don't know if you guys want to partake." And we're like, "Partake in what?" He's like, "DMT." And I'm kind of like, "All right." And he's kind of like, "All right." So we freaking this is what happens. And everybody, there's like 7 of us there. And everybody's like in the room. We're in this pretty nice house. We're in the living room. Like the shaman starts praying. And then like my buddy's sister is there too. And she's like, "Last time I did this, I cried. Like this is so emotional." And everybody's like being so high key, like praying, this and that. I'm like, what the are we about to do? I mean, I've done some drugs. I've never done a drug like this.
You're like slowly eating a bag of Cheetos. Like
I don't drink, but I was drinking water. Like I remember I was kind of like nervous. They were making it seem like I was like shaking, not shaking, but I was kind of like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't do this. Like what is gonna happen? Because I've done mushrooms before. So like I've taken hallucinogenics, but not like that much. And I'd been sober for a long time. At the time, I wasn't. I was totally sober. I'd been sober. My friend had passed away of a drug overdose, a guy by the name of Clark Gable. He was a host of this TV show called Cheaters that I worked on, where he catch people cheating on their husbands and wives. Long story short, so like I was kind of like in this weird emotional state, right? And this had been like, I think it was like a year after he died, but I've been totally
perfect
sober.
for intense, uncontrollable hallucinations.
Exactly right. So I had been totally sober. I hit it. And it was so crazy. They had it's like almost like a little spindle thing. It was very weird. It was all ceremonial. The guy had like crystals on the table and all this stuff. It was insane. They were like holding it for me. As soon as I did it though, I remember it's called blasting off. My eyes were wide open, but all I could see were pink and blue. It was cool. It was fun. I'm not saying to do it. Don't do DMT. But it was very fun because I'd never done that where my eyes were open. I knew I was in the living room. Like I didn't think I was actually there, what I was seeing, but I was seeing something totally different. It was like pink and blue and checkered. And so when people talk about like seeing aliens or you should like go to different levels, like it's crazy because you do the drug and your eyes are literally open and your eyes are looking that way, but you're seeing something else. Whatever signal is going to your brain is not what your eyes are looking at. And it's crazy that we can do that. And for me, it wasn't like that emotional or anything. I just did it and was like, this is really cool.
It's a roller coaster for the mind.
It was a roller coaster. It lasted like 2 or 3 minutes. And then my friend did it the first time he did it, like we were together. That was the first time he did it too, but he like hit it and he didn't hit it hard enough. So he's like, oh, I didn't. Because after I did it, I was like, I'm done. I was like, yeah, this is good.
Once is enough.
I'm out of here. But my buddy was like, is that crazy? I was like, dude, did you see me? I was like tripping out. And he was like, oh, I need to do it. And then he did it. And he was like, he had the same experience. Well, he saw something kind of different, but he was like, that was really. So when they say it's eye-opening, really you're just hallucinating. You're seeing something different, but it's kind of opening. It tricks your brain to be like, what the fuck? My eyes are open, but I was seeing something different.
Yeah.
So that's why they probably say, oh, I'm in an alien zone. I'm teleporting somewhere else. Because my eyes were literally open looking at something. And I was not seeing the living room that was there. I was seeing something else. It was bizarre.
You a believer in demons?
Yeah, I do believe in like a heaven and hell. I do believe in a creator, and they talk about the Bible, how there was the 33. So the Illuminati loves the number 33 because the 30 of the angels were casted out of heaven by God, and supposedly I kind of like the conspiracy that the angels there's supposedly giants here, and like before the flood, the angels and giants mated, and that's kind of what we are. The Nephilim, yes. and we're like the offspring of that. But I think you'd have to admit, and this last guy, I heard him, the interview earlier, one of your interviews earlier, the UFO guy I was watching, and he's talking about UFOs, but I don't necessarily think it's like a UFO coming from Mars. I think there's probably some sort of demonic spirits or demons that do probably get trapped here on Earth. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, is it a ghost? I don't know, but I do think there's like weird, and I'm all about vibrational energy. There is some weird low vibrational energy in this world.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think it was Tesla who was like, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, like look to frequency and vibration, and these are energies. And to me, like, if you're one of these like psychonaut people who's like, no, like psychedelics are gonna heal you, man, like it's gonna be awesome. And
They're
I'm like,
not
well,
gonna heal you.
Maybe they're gonna make you relax something that you've been clenched really tight, sort of psychologically, but it's probably also gonna open something up, and maybe you have control over what's going to come in.
No, they're not good because in the 80s, ecstasy was legal here in Dallas, and it was what is ecstasy, MDMA, and it was like pure, so it was like clean or whatever. But they would give it to marriage counseling therapists for married couples that were having relationship issues. So now, if you're taking ecstasy a bunch, your brain is probably going to have holes in it. You're going to suffer from mass depression because the serotonin levels in your brain are going to be messed up. But yeah, there are going to be drugs like, what's a new one? Ketamine, like that's a tranquilizer, and that might. I bet you feel awesome. After
People swear by it. It's like totally legal now for just like a prescription for like dealing with like depression or whatever. They'll just
I don't have any experience with ketamine.
Write you a prescription for it.
I know it's like a festival type drug, so I imagine that long-term use of ketamine, it might temporarily solve whatever depression and anxiety you're feeling. But I can't imagine taking ketamine for 10 years, even Xanax or even, Adderall over time. Like I get it. These drugs probably, they work, they're efficient, they might make you feel better, but there is a rebounding effect. I mean, everything we put in our body is going to affect it in some sort of way. So there's no like such drug or pill or something we can just take the rest of our lives and it fixes our problems. Eventually, it will start causing problems.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there are a lot of these sort of, and I too will preface these remarks by saying, I'm not bagging on anyone, I'm not trying to like disparage anyone, but like, that sort of like Joe Rogan verse of guys who are like, no, bro, like I got this, bro. Like,
I hate the manosphere. I'm sick of the man, and I'm all about man stuff. I do like some of it. I mean, take a cold plunge sometimes, but we're almost becoming like too manosphere, almost too Mr. Fix It. We can't fix everything. I mean, we should be trying to do
it's
better.
Like I got injections in my ass with human growth hormone, and like they're all dialed in, bro. Like they're fixing a classic car or something, and it's like this is not like a sustainable like life.
It's biohacking. And my buddy Tim Pool, and I'm not trying to name drop, I've just become friends with Tim over the last 2 years.
That's okay.
But
this is your life.
What I'm
your
saying,
real life.
it's because you name drop Joe. So once a week on
not my friend, but
I'm saying,
but not my enemy.
No. But once a week, freaking Tim has a person come and they take not 5-HTP, but I forget what they take in an IV. And it's all because Joe Rogan told him to do it, and so he pays a lot of money, he lets his crew get it done. But he's like trying to biohack. He's like, you got it. NAD is maybe what it is. And he's like, you got to get this. And I'm sure it probably does help, but I'm like, that's not the cure-all for everything. I mean, I don't know. I think the cure-all for anxiety and depression, and this is not medical advice one bit, but diet and exercise are like the two most important things. And I struggle with that. Most people probably do. And we all like sweets and we all don't want to exercise. But if you're not like exercising and trying to eat like not crap that's going to make you depressed. I mean, literally a lot of the crap that we eat will make you depressed. I mean, some of the chemicals in it. So I would say if you're not doing those two things, then no pill or depression medicine or, other thing is going to fix your problems.
Agreed. You got to start with what we've been given. I mean, what we have been given is enough.
Yes.
Like people have been able to live for these many years. I mean, you go into church and you see like old ladies who are able to stand on their feet for 2 hours and they're fasting and they're doing prostrations and they're like keeping their bodies moving.
See, fasting's a good
and
one.
Limiting, right? I mean, this is basic stuff.
You would never hear. That's another thing. I'm not saying everybody needs to go and fast, but intermittent fasting is good. We should. It's called breakfast because you're breaking your fast. Like, fasting used to be, it's obviously in a lot of religions important, but it used to be, more part of our culture a long time ago. But the idea of fasting is, and I don't necessarily believe the evolutionary process, but they would say that you'd actually get smarter too when you're fasting because your body, when it's in ketosis, it starts running on stored fat. Your brain likes using the stored fat better than other energy sources for your body, so you start thinking better. But then the evolutionary aspect too is that when the hunters were hunting for their food, that they were so hungry, they would have to get smarter. Their body would have to adapt on how to kill these animals with technology, with tools, because they were so hungry. So there is something about eating less and being smarter that I do believe in.
The most powerful skill that human beings have used to prevail over the animals, just biologically, is our ability to walk long distances.
Why do you say that? What?
Because like we could just stalk big game and like keep going, and these animals could run a lot faster than us, but then they'd be out of gas and they'd be like, oh, they're still coming. So I mean, even just walking, like you want to increase your. I mean, now this is becoming like a Manosphere show.
Well, no,
you want to increase your vitality,
I know we're talking about
you
vitality.
just have to like keep walking.
And then this is what I'm going to talk about. Think about all the buffaloes they killed in America. Do you think America would be so different? You ever see those videos where they have all the buffalo skulls during the Trail of Tears?
Just mountains of them. Yeah.
I'm just imagining what the hell that was like. Them killing. I mean, I said this earlier. I'm not against. I have cats and I have dogs. I feed them meat, so I'm really not like you need to be a vegetarian. You probably could eat a little less meat. We don't need it for every single meal, but my point is, I just don't understand how they could do that to animals. You know, I'm very, you know, I love animals. So like they kill all those buffaloes. They're getting paid all that money. I'm like seeing those pictures of all the skulls, it gives me anxiety.
Part of the reason was they wanted to starve out the American Indians.
Duh, that was just evil. Yeah. Think about that. And then the Trail of Tears, we don't even talk about it. The Redskins, obviously Indians like the Cleveland Indians. Indians like the Redskins. They like being represented. But it's so funny how they're like, oh, we got to change the name of the Redskins because that's insensitive. Yet everything else they did was much more sensitive, like killing Indians, robbing them of their food. Yet now you want to say because a football team is called the Redskins, now we're being insensitive? It's like, come on. We literally killed them for just being here.
Yeah. And then the booze.
Yeah, the booze, that's a bad thing. The Indians are drinking a lot, but at least they got those casinos. But you can't win at an Indian casino. You got to go to like Vegas or something. I mean,
have you tried to win in an Indian casino?
I've tried to win in every casino in the continental United States. No, I'm not a big gambler, but like, yeah, I've gambled.
Better off with the lawsuits, probably.
Better off with the lawsuits.
Odds.
But it's always fun to put like $100 in like a slot machine and play it for, like an hour. You never done that?
Yeah. Slots, no. I
didn't ever play the slots. But then I started following this guy on YouTube, and that's why these casinos really should be pumping up these content creators. There's a whole sector of internet content. These people get tons of views. Well, they just like live stream themselves playing slot machines. So go to like high limit ones, this and that, but they get like millions of followers. Yeah. And so I met one of the guys in Vegas and said, this is what he did. He's like, Alex, I want to make a video with you. We both put $500 in what is called a top dollar slot machine, and if the bonus on it, it's called top dollar, and then it's like this really cool thing, and then the balls, and it picks a dollar cash amount, like you're guaranteed to win something if you get the bonus. He was like, let's put $500 in. We both put it in within like 4 spins. I hit it. We won like $2,500, and I'm like, oh shit, you can win these. These guys post these wins all the time. Slot machines are very stupid, but it was so entertaining. So that's what you're paying for. Like I think that's almost more fun to put $100 in and play for a little bit now. So I would never play a slot machine. I would have never played a slot machine until I watched hours of content of guys hitting jackpots. And now that I've hit a jackpot,
you want more.
I want more.
I've only seen one guy hit multiple slot machine jackpots, and he was a coke addict in a green felt Gucci jumpsuit.
And he was playing the slot machines like that?
Well, he'd just like walk around and he'd be like, that one, and he'd like put the money in, and it was just like, whoosh. It was really.
Well, I was
really
just
uncanny.
in Vegas, and this girl and I would put in $100, and we play. Like sometimes it would go up, we'd go to $300. I think we put in like $400, and I think we left like $200. So we only lost $200, but we gambled for like hours. So I'm not saying to do it. It's very stupid. We played blackjack, we played roulette. I don't think gambling's smart, even though mybookie.ag is one of our sponsors, so go to there.
But this is also like the psychosis of the internet that has emerged over the past couple of years, is how like everything is sort of converging on like gambling.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this goes back to like Candy Crush
Sports
and like some
now.
of those early games. It's just like, you've got this sea of people who are like casual users, and then you got this upper crust of like Saudi princes and like.
Well, that's totally different.
And they're putting in so much money into these games because they want that addictive fix of gambling.
Everybody wants it because this is why, and like I said, I'm not a big gambler, but now it's with these kids, and I don't even game, but all the gamers, they do things, and I forget which game, it's either Call of Duty, and it's FIFA, all these different games that have the thing where like, you win a certain amount of points, it puts you in like different levels, and you can like, something will spin and you'll win like a shield.
Yeah, you want that prize box.
Yeah, or you'll win like this. And so that is a form of gambling because you can buy credits to get.
There's also like a secondary market for
those
like
items
different
in the
kinds of weapons. Like PUBG or whatever, and they're sort of randomly generated, but they're sort of not. And you're like, I got the knife, and it's got extra blue on it.
So it's worth $100,000.
Yeah, right. And you can sell it in the secondary market, but people are going into like accounts, like hacking out
I saw a kid went viral because he was in his like school and class. It was like an elementary school, and he got like some blue knife, and all the kids were like, "That's worth $100,000." So imagine being a kid, and all of a sudden you're playing some video game, and you have something worth $100,000. Your parents were like, "Give me that." My dad would be like, "Give me that money right now."
Right.
That's what my dad. If I was in elementary school.
Well, parents do that to child stars, and we see like the wreckage of just like what child stars have become today. That's like a huge like meme now.
And I think there's like a little conspiracy to that too. I mean, obviously the parents like using their kids because you got to be really hard. It's really hard to take a kid to an audition and the kid not get it. Like you have to have a kid that's either really wants to do it or it's just like really brainwashed by their parents. But that is how you make it in acting. Acting, you have to start young. You have to start because like the people that go to college and act in theater, yeah, there's some people that break out from that. But like the main way to break into Hollywood is to be like a 5-year-old, literally, because they need kids. Because that's when I moved to LA after I graduated from LSU.
You spent a couple years out there, right?
And I didn't have any gigs. Well, I didn't have a gig when I was going out there, but my buddy's like, you should go to Central Casting and sign up. And that's the #1 extras casting company in arguably the world. I mean, they're based in LA and New York, the main casting places. But all of a sudden I looked young. So I was 18 to look younger. So I was working every day on different movie sets. And I would learn that there because the kids have all these requirements. They want to use adults that look like kids, but kids are like so important in Hollywood. So if you do take your kid to that lifestyle, you're selling your kid to the beast. That's why they want the kid. And I'm not talking the conspiracy thing. It's just like your kid's on a set with adult people. There's adult requirements. Even if they have a tutor on set, it's an adult environment, right? So you're taking away that childhood. That's why like Michael Jackson had Arrested Development because he never got to have that childhood. So it's probably not beneficial. And the child stars and their parents take the money. Probably a lot of those parents, I'm guessing, probably took the money thinking like, oh, I'll save it, this and that. And you know how that goes.
Yeah, that's it. I'll save
in their
the money.
head, well, in their head, they're like,
College
I spend it on you too. It's hard because I just know I love my mom. R.I.P. I miss my mom. But if I was a child star making millions of dollars, my mom would have taken some of that money, and I mean, that just my dad would too. I mean, I think that's almost a natural parent.
It's got to be tough to resist. Like they're working too, They're like driving the kid back and forth, and like, come on, encouraging them.
And they shouldn't like rip them off. Like I think Gary Coleman got ripped off. All these guys, Macaulay Culkin, they get ripped off. That's terrible, but. These parents are working too, so they probably feel entitled to it. And they're like, my dumb kid's a millionaire? Like, how?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Or they become like the manager, and then that's like a whole extra level of like creepiness where like they're on set and like maybe something sketch is going on. Maybe they
look
see
at
it,
Kris Jenner. It puts out her daughter's porn tape. I mean, she's like shopping around Kim Kardashian.
Proof of like demonic presence on planet Earth is just like that family.
Imagine being like Kris Jenner and be like, well, is this Vivid Video? My daughter's porn tape. I want you to release it. I mean, that's so dark.
Yeah.
And you're a millionaire already.
You got to do the porn tape in order to wind up with like the makeup contract like 10 years down the line.
And then her young daughter is a billionaire, but then she tweeted support of Israel and immediately had to take it down. I think that was Witch Jenner.
Meanwhile, you have the porn stars like supporting Hamas.
Mia Khalifa.
Like you're done.
We're so backwards. Everybody's
This is not like a functional civilization. Like this can't go on much longer, right?
Yeah, but dude, our lives are short, right? So let's say we live to 80. I mean, then we're gone, and then the next person. I mean, I don't know if we're here long enough to even make change, even to tell the next generation, hey, this is like this. Because our history is so fake. I mean, whatever they tell us about the history, and it's his story. Because we don't even know, because nobody hardly knows our great-great-great-grandparents. Like, we just don't know. So it's
especially
easy.
now.
That's why history always repeats itself, because we just don't remember the mistakes we made just 100 years ago, 80 years ago.
Well, I mean, maybe it's like Ebola where it just like burns out so fast. Maybe in a couple generations, people are just going to be like, oh yeah, like I found my grandpa's smartphone. Like I'm not going to touch that shit. Like keep that away from me,
maybe. I found some Peter McCullough book or something.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we just live in a weird society where it's hard to find personal happiness. And that's why I think diet and exercise, not trying to harp on that, like just control the things you can't control.
Yeah. Well, you left LA. Like that's the first step, right? Is to like leave Los Angeles.
Well, yeah, and I had a really successful, not really successful, I booked I got like a Jack in the Box commercial, I got like a T-Mobile commercial while I was there, and that like helped just sustain me. But
were you like in the bikini at the car wash, just like eating the Jack in the Box?
No, the Jack in the Box, it was for, gosh, what was the burger? It was like their All-American combo or something, I think was what it was called, and I was just like eating the burger like... It's pretty cool.
You have good teeth. You got teeth for television.
I mean, I always looked young. I looked like a kid. And then I got on a bunch of shows and stuff. But then I got on this one show called The Glass House, and it's a reality show that's kind of a carbon copy of Big Brother, where you live in the house and they watch you, 24 hours, and then like you vote each other off. But on the different spin is this guy is Kenny Rosen, I think was the producer's name. God, yeah, it was Kenny Rosen. He was an old Big Brother producer, but what's different is that the players could communicate with the audience. Like I could ask them a question like, is Sarah, scheming me? And then it would play the answer to the whole crew, so everybody like knew what they said. And I asked them, I walked into that house the first week and was like, should I be the biggest villain in reality TV history? And it was like 95% yes.
People are just like breaking the button.
To say yes. And so I immediately started being like, you're a whore from Playboy. And this is in 2012. And I'm like, you're this, you're that, you're gay, you're blah. And I get kicked out the next week. And I was really butthurt because before I did that, and I did it wrong, but Kenny, the producers, they would talk to you in the confessional. And like they wouldn't, I'm sure like later on, actually I never heard from the players, like they wouldn't like help you cheat, but they would be like, they were like asking me like, Alex, if you're the villain, you're gonna stay on. Like America will keep you. Like you need to be a villain. But I wasn't a cunning villain. Because I didn't watch enough reality TV. Now looking back, the greatest reality TV villains you watch, like they weren't just being like they were being cunning and cool. I just didn't really know what the dictionary definition of a villain was, and that's really on me for not doing my research. I thought they just like wanted a menace. Like I was just like I was like Puck from The Real World or something. You know what I mean? Do you remember that? I was just like,
we are now officially old because we're talking about Puck from The Real World.
Exactly. So people are not going to get that reference, but he just went into the real world.
Look it up.
Look up Puck. But I was acting more like Puck and not like Johnny Fairplay from Survivors. That's the only guy I can think of. He's lying.
Do you have like favorite like internet villains right now, like Martin Shkreli or like who's?
I like Martin actually. He's pretty nice on Twitter. Who's like the biggest villain on Twitter? I mean, that Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul stuff was pretty. He was probably the biggest villain for the past, however.
Wild. Well, Shkreli just had an AI tweet where he's like, no, we will not stop. I'm building a cult. We're gonna like take over the world. You can't stop us. Like, nah. So he seems to be like rediscovering.
Oh yeah, I think he's catching. Yeah, he's catching his footing again, and was very successful for a young age.
Yeah.
So he's a pretty sharp kid, and I think he probably like. What did he got in trouble because he raised the price of insulin, I think.
Right, yeah.
Which is terrible, but all the other companies did it. Insulin in Mexico is $10 and it's $200 here.
I know.
In America. So.
It's like when does autism like shade over into villainy where you're like, well, like Microsoft Excel told me that if I just like
$7 more per
like, why would I not do this? Like this is Microsoft telling me to do this.
Yeah.
And then you go to jail.
So I don't know with villains on the internet. The biggest one, probably the biggest villain right now is the villain I like the least is Dan Crenshaw. I think he's kind of a villain right now.
Yeah,
he's just like has the eye patch.
Right.
And he reminds you of
the
Dr.
villain
Evils.
who's like pretending to be the hero.
Exactly,
like, that's
right.
the ultimate villain.
And he like loves war. He's the vet. That's what makes it bad because he's the vet and he lost his eye, so he has a grudge, right? Yeah. He's always gonna. Dan will always. And I've had a lot of interactions with Dan, and he hates me, and I don't want to sit here.
Like the villain he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Dan has this hero's complex, and maybe he was in war. I'll if you fought in war, you're a hero, even though I'm anti-war. But I'll give him that's hard to do. That's a hero. But because he's lost his eye, he feels like America owes him something. That's why he trades stock so well. That's why when he interacts with people, there's just some reporter he just tried to trip. Like he has this weird thing, and I think it's because he lost his eye, where it's like a disabled person. Sometimes people, I remember in school, it caused like I worked as a peer tutor, and sometimes people are like, I don't want to be a peer tutor because the disabled kids are mean. But they like kind of have to be mean because their life's harder, and so they get this kind of grudge. So losing your eye, it probably did kind of weaponize him a little bit, even if it's just minor. And it's kind of turned him against like, I lost my eye, like this country owes me. Who cares if I take $1 million in illegal stock trades, or who cares if I send more weapons to Ukraine? Like those other guys should die. I lost my eye. Who cares if they die? That's on them.
You think that patch is just one day gonna be like, and then
open up,
right? And then the laser comes out.
Maybe, but they say he might run for governor. That'll make me sick. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really appreciate. It's not hate. I just want to be clear. It's not anti Dan Crenshaw animus, but yeah. I think yes, I think there is something going on there that merits some criticism.
Well, it just anybody that likes war that much. I mean, all the people even right now, and maybe I'll get flack for this too. Like, we should just nuke Gaza, and I'm like, all those stray cats and stray dogs are gonna die. I just don't want anybody to get nuked. I don't know why, as human beings, we can't come to an agreement not to kill each other. Like, why can't we just agree to disagree? And I know that'll never happen. We'll never agree to disagree, but I don't understand how that is so hard as human beings. Even this Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Just let the Donbass region be autonomous, or you can choose to be Russian or Ukrainian. I mean, we're fighting over bullcrap. I mean, This is the Donald Trump position. The stated,
within 10 minutes, the war would be over, we'd make a deal. And you can laugh at it and everything, but is that the wrong place to begin when thinking about these things? Like, maybe not.
I mean, in this Israel-Palestine conflict, I'm not going to just start crying and sweating bullets like I've seen a lot of people, but there are going to be a ton of people that die that's probably, a fair feeling if you have that. But my point is, like, I just don't even want to start watching what's going to happen. We're going to send weapons, people are going to die, and it's going to be, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is Twitter has become like a snuff film place. Yes. And I think that's only going to get worse is my point. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell? You can't even look at Twitter without being like crying. I just don't even want to see it. So.
Well, and like you must post about this. You must get on Instagram.
But that's always been.
You must like weigh in on this issue.
Even since the Ice Bucket Challenge, like if you didn't do the thing, you're not.
But the stakes are rising, and especially like in a time of war with like a weak government that's like trying to force people to demonstrate their loyalty to the regime. Like it's gonna get really intense, and just the spectacle of like governments more or less increasingly just like forcing people to log on and to like post, whether it's the black square or like the rainbow fist or like whatever it is, like every day, like how many minutes out of your day do you have to spend just like performing the act of ultimate loyalty that the regime demands of you?
Well, I mean, that's, what is it, 1984, George Orwell, like in the book and the movie, they're like cheering for this tyranny. You're going to have to. You're going to have to, if they cheerleader for it, they'll think you're against it. So you like have to post about it just to show that you're not against it.
Well, there is a better way. I do have hope that we're going to find that better way, even if it takes a minute or so. Alex, thank you for coming on.
Is that an hour?
That is an hour. We burned right through it. I know. We should do this again.
We should, yes.
It's fun, almost.
It is.
As for now, that's literally all the time we've got. So if you would like more content just like this, please do go to BlazeTV. Do subscribe. Do get all the 0 Hour and Primetime that you want, which has got to be a lot. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, so Glenn Beck doesn't fire either of us.
No.
Until next time, I'm James Poulos. This is 0 Hour, and may God have mercy on us all.